Welcome back to Power in Politics. Members of Congress are targeting one of the most popular social media apps in America. That's TikTok. The U.S. House of Representatives recently passed a bill that would ban the app in the states if the China-based owner of the company doesn't agree to sell its stake in the platform. The future of the bill faces a much more uncertain future in the Democrat-controlled Senate. Joining the show now is social media expert and CEO of Ruby Media Group, an award-winning public relations and social media agency, Kris Ruby. First, tell us how we got here in the first place.
So there's really a monopoly of power right now with a few big tech companies controlling the public square and public discourse and what is allowed to be said and what isn't allowed to be said. And that's why you've seen so much pushback over the past 2 years. We've seen this with Musk and Twitter ever since he acquired Twitter. Everyone now is fighting for the right to be heard and pushing back against the establishment for speech. So how did we get here? It's that you had this big tech monopoly come together over the past decade. Social media is something largely which the government is having trouble. Social media is starting to usurp the power of traditional media, and checks and balances had to be placed on that lever of power and control, and that's what you're seeing right now.
How do we start to wrap our head around the balance between national security issues and free speech?
The first issue is national security, because if the underlying foundation is possibly compromised, you are speaking on a compromised platform that is collecting your data from someone that is a direct threat to the United States of America. There is a reason why the members of our military cannot use TikTok or have TikTok on their mobile devices. And so I think we're conflating a free speech issue with a national security issue, and national security has to come first in this regard. What speech do you have if China takes over and is eventually having your data and can use that for espionage, can use that to surveil American citizens, and can ultimately use it to blackmail future politicians? This is the real threat of TikTok. I've been covering TikTok and why it's a national security threat for years. The truth is this should have happened a long time ago. And we've seen TikTok get banned in India and people moved on. One of the issues is that people are so anti-government now. Their trust in their own government is so low that even if their government is trying to do something to help them in terms of surveillance and saying, wait a second, this may not be such a good thing. At some level, we have to understand maybe there are some things that government knows that we don't about surveillance and biometric data and how that can be used for AI model training and how it can be used against you in the future. But people have zero trust in elected officials at this point to protect them. So even if they want to, ultimately they're going to fight against them and it's going to hurt them.
We know the China connections, and that's why Congress is targeting TikTok. But isn't there always a concern about all social media companies and how they use and sell our personal information?
The larger issue is data collection, the biometric surveillance and data collection. Over the past 24 months, there has been a push on social media for verification. The reasoning behind this, or at least the stated reasoning behind this, is that in the future, AI bots are going to take over every social media platform, and the only way you'll be able to show that you are an authentic human being or quote unquote proof of personhood is by verifying yourself. But as you've seen, that's not really doing much of anything. On X, you can see right now that fake accounts are verified. You have AI generated fake photos and avatars. So the current verification system is virtually useless. It only serves to roll out digital ID in the interests of government and not actually the people. So that has really not done anything at all. How is this data that is being collected about you being used to train what I would call a mini model? That mini model can be a personalized algorithm based on your preferences, your likes, your dislikes, and what you're interested in. And that can become very addictive. That is what's happening with TikTok. You are literally seeing a nation going through withdrawal right now. The response to this app being possibly banned is not normal. And the reason why is because it is so addictive. Why is it so addictive? Because of artificial intelligence.
TikTok has 170 or so million American users, including many young people and teens. Could this become a political issue that young people really care about?
Our youth sees TikTok as their app. The fact that our youth is so attached to this app that has ties to China is a problem. We have a nation in peril where they are fighting for their right to be surveilled by China. This is a real issue. And something has changed, something has gone horribly wrong in this social experiment of AI and social media, where our own citizens are now fighting for our nation's enemies. And that is a direct result of the propaganda campaign that you can see on TikTok.
Social media expert and CEO of her own PR firm, Kris Ruby, is still with me to close everything out. Kris, you mentioned AI a lot in our interview. How does this play into the future of social media and the combination of AI and algorithms?
TikTok certainly had one of the most powerful AI algorithms and recommendation algorithms long before almost anyone else did. And you can see that is why people love that app. That is why they feel addicted to it, because it is building a mirror experience of their world and what they want to see. And you can tell when you're on other social media platforms, when that technology is not the foundation of what you're using, you can tell, because you'll say, why am I getting this? I'm not interested in this. Why am I being targeted for something I could care less about? This is not something that I'd like to see. They're all powered by these same AI algorithms and matching algorithms. And each of these apps and social media companies are all trying to compete to have the most powerful AI.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think that a lot of people are misinterpreting the language in this bill. They're saying it's Trojan horse, it's too broad, it gives our government unbridled power to take away free speech. And my reaction to that is that you will not have speech if China takes it away from you. That is part of the overall propaganda. Another thing that China is doing through public policy and lobbying, they're coming out and saying Americans are going to lose so many jobs if TikTok is banned. Well, Americans are already losing a ton of jobs because our economy is very bad right now. So TikTok is threatening how many jobs creators are going to lose. First of all, they're not actually trying to ban TikTok. They're really trying to move it so that the holdings are in the US. So I think some of the language around this is wrong. And I also think it's very concerning that you have politicians who are basically opposing this bill when for years the same politicians have said we need to ban TikTok. Their issue with it is that this bill came together too soon. And I would say, no, actually, it should have come far sooner. This should have happened years ago. We need to just do it and move on and be done with it. Because at some point, we spend so much time belaboring the point and arguing about these things.
Thank you again for joining me. I'm Jonathan Gordon, and this is Power and Politics on News 12, where local elections lead to national change. More news and headlines coming up after the break.